Hello, my fiends, and welcome to the October 31st, 2014 show. This month we have seen some amazing astronomical things, such as Borderlands the pre-sequel, which was released earlier this month. And before that, there was a lunar eclipse. And there was also a partial solar eclipse. But I did get some sad news too. It seems Dracula went on vacation and had the worst time of his death. He went to Las Vegas, and it was on his first night someone tried to stake him at a poker game. I guess they were playing Hold'em. This show, we're going to look at some bizarre video games and game moments. So sit back in your electric chairs and enjoy what I call There are too many bizarre games that I've never played or ever heard of. Here are some I've come across. Duty. Ed the Duck. Flimbo's Quest. Master X and the Genesis of Mr. X.
The 1990s was the boom of fighting games. This one I don't remember seeing, and I was surprised to see the 3D effect of the ground on the Amiga, like in Street Fighter II. Not that I didn't think the Amiga was capable of it, I was just surprised. This game also was released on the Sega Genesis. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Yes, I admit I put a few quarters into this arcade machine. Just out of curiosity, mind you. Up to 3 players can shoot bad guys with magic, hang out with Bubbles the Chimp, save children, turn into robots, and dance at the same time. Sega also made a home version of this game for the Sega Genesis, but it was entirely different from the arcade game. Unfortunately, in the graveyard scene when you do the special dance to destroy everybody on screen, the zombies don't really do a thriller dance, they do some kind of other dance, and it's kind of boring. Not to mention bizarre. Zool, not to be confused with the demigod from Ghostbusters, came onto the Amiga with 3 different flavors, one for the regular Amiga, one for AGA Amiga, and one for the CD32, which was basically an AGA Amiga with a CD drive. On the CD version, you get to hear this cool music playing from the CD, so it sounded a lot better than on the regular Amiga. And the bizarre background was only available on the AGA or the CD32 Amigas. Whoopee! Oh, and later they released a Sega Genesis version as well. Possibly the weirdest game I've ever played on the Commodore 64, Hover Bover. According to Wikipedia, the purpose of the game is to mow the lawn using the neighbor's mower, whilst avoiding static objects, the flower beds, and mobile enemies, the neighbor himself. Your pet dog will antagonize the neighbor and keep him away from you, but as the dog itself is vulnerable to the mower, care must be taken not to run it over. And that's exactly what I did over and over again. This was released for Commodore 64 and Atari 8-bit in 1983 and PC in 2002. When the milk ran dry, cats worldwide desperately sought a new source. So they drink electric milk now. A funny and bizarre shooter in the mold of Defender. You have to stop aliens from carrying away the milk farming kitties.
Rise from your grave.
Please do, you were stinking up the place. In Sega's Altered Beast, you need to punch or kick white two-headed creatures to gather energy orbs that transform you into a stronger version of yourself and eventually a beast of some kind, like a wolf man, a tiger man, or dragon man. Sega made a version of this for most platforms, including Sega Genesis. Unfortunately, the Amiga version is one of the worst ports I've ever seen. You can tell it wasn't optimized at all for the Amiga. It's slow, ugly, and it doesn't even have the trademark Amiga coprocessor gradient background, known as Copper Rainbow. I know Sega could have done better than that. I had Shinobi for Amiga, and that was great, and Space Harrier. Wolfchild is the story of a guy who is subjected to strange experiments that allow him to turn into a wolf by gathering, you guessed it, energy orbs. This was made for the Amiga first and shortly found its way onto the Sega Genesis. The two versions are very similar, which makes sense because the Genesis had the same processor as the original Amiga. My Amiga emulation didn't like the screen capture software and rendered the music and sound badly, and most likely messed up the FPS too. Oh well. Have you ever wanted to be Arnold in The Running Man? Me neither. Well, here's your chance to compete in a futuristic, bloody, and brutal game show. A future where VCRs are great prizes. This arcade machine came out in 1990 and had dual joysticks, much like 1982's Robotron 2084. One for movement and one for shooting. It also features some of the most shocking graphics for its time. It was right alongside of Mortal Kombat in terms of freaking out your parents in 1992.
The desert, unchanged for millions of years.
It Came from the Desert, 1989. It was one of those games that made me want to buy an Amiga. Like the 50s sci-fi movies that it emulates, it involves mutant giant ants, crazy scientists, atomic energy, and the desert. I remember that using the gun was very difficult. But It Came from the Desert really set fire to my imagination. Check out CinemaWare's site online for news of when this game or others might be coming to your smartphone. PID is a strange indie game where you play a kid who can throw gravity-defying beams of light that help you get through the puzzles the game offers, in terms of terrain to navigate or objects you need to collect. It kinda reminds me of The Boy and His Blob from the NES. Which I was as equally good at.
A picture from Walmart? How'd that get in here? Huh? This is just getting weirder. Can we move on now?
A strange mix of Legend of Zelda and a semi-hardcore shooter, this game is really bizarre, but some people seem to really like it a lot. bizarre moments. While playing Tron Revolutions, my character got stuck in this weird pose. Oh, thanks, buddy. I can move again.
Video from my vacation. How'd that get in here?
Let's see if I can do it. It's going down. And it gets close to the... Well, that's all for this time, my dedicated denizens of couch potatoism. Until the next time, keep your glasses on. Okay. I did get some sad news.